Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to this week's episode of DIY Dad. So we got a special project this week. So I was planing a bunch of wood the other day and I was using my shop vac and I really got sick of having to clean out the shop vac and clean out the filter and it's all the dust and everything that was in the shop vac. So I was like, you know what? Why don't I build a dust extraction system? They're relatively easy to build, pretty cheap. I think this whole build might have cost me about 40 bucks. So that's what we're gonna do this week. We're gonna build a dust extraction system. So stick around and I'll show you how to do it. All right, so let me show you guys the parts that we're gonna be using for this build. So all the pipe that we're using is 1.5 inch pipe. That's what this piece is. We're actually going to need 3 sections that are about 1 7/8 inches long, something like that. You need 3 1.5 inch couplers. You need 1 45-degree angle attachment. I'm sorry, this is a 90-degree angle attachment. You need 1 45-degree attachment. You're gonna need 2 flexible pipe end caps, and you will need 1 sheet metal screw. And then the other thing that you're gonna need is 4 of these buckets. You can get away with 2, but we're gonna do 4 because we don't want it to collapse if we put a strong vacuum on it. So you're gonna need 4 buckets, 5-gallon buckets. And those are all your materials. All right guys, so step 1 here is to remove the handle from the bucket. So I'm just taking my 10 snips, just cutting off the plastic part that holds in the handle. All right, now that that's done, we need to cut it just below this second line here. And to do that, I'm going to use my handy dandy jigsaw. Okay guys, so now for this next part, if you notice on these buckets, there's high and low spots. You want to find one of the low spots. You want to take one of the pieces of pipe that you cut, put it 1/2 inch from the edge, and scribe around that because we're going to need to cut a hole right here. Okay, and then we are going to need to do another mark for a hole right in the center. So I'm going to put this here and then scribe around that. All right, so there we go. So now we just need to cut those out. All right, now we're just gonna make some holes to get these started. All right, now what we're going to do is take our 10 snips and basically take little nibbles to cut these circles out. Just a little bit at a time. There's no rush on this. You do want it to be a pretty tight fit. And you'll notice I originally had some white Ryobi buckets, but something about those buckets, they were just cracking whenever I was trying to cut these holes. So I had to go get some Home Depot buckets. These seem to be a little bit more pliable and they don't crack. So I'm just going to use my Ryobi buckets on the outside because I did want it to be a Ryobi dust extractor since I'm such a Ryobi fanboy. But like I said, I couldn't cut the bottoms of the buckets without them cracking. So I'm gonna put the Ryobi buckets as the second layer on the outside so they won't collapse, and use these for the inside layer. So there's one hole right there. Now we just need to do one more. Let me get my pipe and okay. Alright, there we are. It's easy to Okay, that fits real nice. Let's get the other one. There we go. Okay, now for our next step, we're going to remove the burr from the inside with our utility knife, just like this. All right, and then last, you want to take your utility knife and kind of use the edge here as a guide and scrape the edge like this. We're just trying to make a nice clean angle on there so we can slide this into another 5-gallon bucket. And it may take you a few tries of going around to get this to where it actually goes around nice and smooth. But generally after, 3 or 4 times of doing this all the way around, it gets a little easier every time. Okay, and then when you're done, you should have an edge that looks like that. See how it's kind of rounded some? And we do that so that this should just fit into that bucket nice and smooth now, and it will create an airtight seal, pretty airtight, for our vacuum, just like that. So, like this is what it looks like now that I've zoomed out, you can see it. But that's why we created that edge on there, so that we could put this bucket directly into the other bucket like this and have a pretty airtight seal, just like that. Okay, now that we have our holes cut out, you want to take 2 of your straight couplers with the little pieces of pipe that you've cut, and you want to put them in these holes right here. Remember, they're resistance fitted, so it should be pretty tight. There we go. Then you want to take your last coupler and put it in the middle one right there. Just like that. And let me get my mallet and bang that on. Just to make sure it's nice and tight. Okay, so now you want to take your 90-degree piece here with the pipe that goes between it, and you want to take your 45-degree piece, and you don't want to have them perfect like that. You want to line them up. You see where there's these lines here? Instead of putting those two lines straight, you want to turn it just about 1/4 of an inch, just like that, so it's going to redirect the dust flow, and then push that together. Just like that. All right, so now that you have this part put together, you want to attach the 90-degree piece to that part right there. Like so. All right, so our next step that we did here was we took a sheet metal screw and we basically fastened this piece to the inside, as you can see in there, with that sheet metal screw, just so it won't move at all. All right, so our next step here is to take one of the hoses that we're using and scribe this out on here so we can cut out a hole for it. Remember, this is going to be pressure fit, so you do want the hole to be nice and tight. Okay, so that's that one. And this one is going to be just like that. All right, now we can drill some holes and cut them out. And these are 2-inch ones. I think I incorrectly stated at the beginning of the video that you needed 1.5 inch. Okay, now we're just using our hobby knife here to cut these out. All right, and we want a nice tight resistance fit is what we're looking for. That is perfect, just like that. Now I just need to do one more. All right, let's see what's in there. There we go. Nice tight fit. That's exactly what we're looking for. Now that we have done that piece, we can put our plastic pieces on here. Let's see, this is the one that's going to go to the tool. So this needs to go there. And this one goes to the other part. We'll put, or this one goes to the shop vac. This one goes to the tool, just like that. Come on. a flathead screwdriver and we'll tighten those up. All right, there we go. All right, so now we just want to reinforce it so it won't collapse from the vacuum. So for the bottom bucket, I just took another bucket and put it over the bottom bucket. And then for this one, you want to measure 3 inches down from the top of the bucket. Actually, I might not have to. Let me see. Yep. So measure 3 inches down from the top of the bucket. And then you want to cut it out with a jigsaw or whatever you have available. All right. And then you just want to take the piece that you cut out, slide it over your other bucket like that. And then you can put these together. Something like this. All right, now it won't collapse on you. And we're good to go ahead and test it out. There you go, just so you get a better look. That's what the completed version looks like right there. Now, we just have to test it out, see how it does. Okay, now one thing that I would like to point out is that in the bottom of this bucket, when you put that second bucket on there, there's about 3 inches of space that you can use. You can put some rocks in there, some sand or some water, or even some concrete to kind of give it more weight. That way that it's not so top heavy and it won't tip over on you. So that's a good tip to put in the bottom bucket. Put some weight in there. All right, guys, so here is our setup. We have the shop vac here, dust extractor here, wood planer there. So let's turn everything on, plane some wood, and see if the dust goes into here. So let's see if we have some dust in here. Okay, yeah, it looks like it works. We have dust, wood chips. So yeah, you can see it actually worked. So yeah, that was a relatively inexpensive thing to build there. I think I spent maybe about 35 bucks total and all the materials that I needed, but now I won't have to change my filter on my shop vac so much anymore when I'm planing wood or doing anything else. So it's a cool little project. So yeah, if you need a dust extraction system, this definitely works. All right, guys, now for the grand finale. You see I have this big, huge pile of sawdust here. So let's suck it up and see how much of it actually goes into the dust extractor. All right, so let's see how we did. Bring the camera over here. See what it got. Okay, nice. See that? All that sawdust is in there now. This thing works great. So if you need some kind of dust extraction for your shop, I would say go ahead and just make yourself one. It's pretty easy. This actually worked a lot better than I thought it would. So I'm pleased. Okay, one more thing I want to show you guys. You saw all the dust in here that we collected. Now check this out. This is inside the actual vacuum. Barely any. Barely any. So you see how well it works. No dust in my filter. So yeah, it works very well. So make yourself one. All right, don't forget to like this video if it was useful and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next week.